After realizing I was the female lead in an abusive novel, I started acting crazy. The male lead's mistress sent me bed photos to provoke me. I said, "So spicy, send me 2 more, Rose." Rose, the evil mother-in-law, offered me 5 million to get lost. I said, "Is that all your son is worth? You'll have to pay more." The green tea white moonlight returned from studying abroad. I kicked the male lead away. Strike first to gain the upper hand. I'll go pick her up later. The male lead went absolutely mad. He gripped my chin and sneered coldly, "No matter how much you do, it's useless. I will never love you." Everyone has awakened, yet this idiot is still following the script. I'm the female lead in a cliché, angsty novel, and I've awakened, 3 days ago, at my wedding with Gu Tingzhou. His childhood sweetheart Tang Xian burst in, crying and making a scene. Gu Tingzhou left me behind to comfort her, and in the midst of their argument, he accidentally pushed me down the stairs. My head hit the railing hard, resulting in a concussion and multiple abrasions, leaving me unconscious in the hospital for 3 days. When I woke up, I had awakened, lying in the hospital bed. Fragments of my past life kept replaying in my mind, getting up at 3 a.m. to make kanji for Gu Tingzhou, sorting out his work documents while running a high fever, accompanying him to social drinking events until I vomited blood. Yet Gu Tingzhou remained consistently indifferent. He enjoyed my devotion while warning me not to overstep boundaries. "You're just a substitute, know your place and what you should or shouldn't do." I let out a mocking laugh. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. According to the plot, Gu Tingzhou treats me as a stand-in for his white moonlight, tormenting me while simultaneously unable to resist falling for me. By the grand finale, I die in childbirth, and only then does he realize his true feelings. Overwhelmed with regret, kneeling before my grave to confess his sins, but I'm already dead. What the hell good is his confession to me now? I rolled out of bed and caught sight of someone standing by the window in my peripheral vision. It was Gu Tingzhou, his back turned to me as he was on the phone, just a clingy nanny who threw herself at me. Nothing to feel sorry about. Don't cry, it's not your fault. I'll make her apologize to you another day. Gu Tingzhou saw me through the glass reflection, hung up the phone, and his face darkened abruptly as he turned around. "If you're not dead yet, hurry up and get discharged. Do you know how uncomfortable I've been these past few days?" I furrowed my brows and retorted, "So you feel uncomfortable without someone waiting on you? Then if I stop serving you from now on, would you have to lie in a coffin waiting to die?" Gu Tingzhou's impatient expression froze. He strode over, abruptly grabbed my arm, and said coldly, "Lin Shuha, have you lost your mind? How dare you speak to me like that?" He pulled at my wound, the pain sharp. I struggled a bit, but he only tightened his grip. "Stop pretending, don't you love it when I touch you?" Gu Tingzhou looked at me with disdain. I took a deep breath, swung my arm wide, and slapped him hard across the face. "Damn it, you think you're something special, huh?" That slap sent Gu Tingzhou reeling in shock. His stunned expression quickly twisted into fury. "Lin Shuha, have you lost your mind?" "Lost my mind," I sneered, raising my hand to deliver another sharp slap across his face. "I must have been blind before, not realizing you're a 24K pure idiot, pushing me down the stairs and still having the nerve to turn the tables on me." The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and I slapped him twice more. "You gave me depression, made me suffer a difficult childbirth, and in the end, you even took my corneas. I'm already dead, and you're still sweet-talking your white moonlight, making my child call her mom. You deserve to die." Gu Tingzhou, I kept hitting him as I spoke, driving him back until he was forced to cover his head in defeat. "What nonsense are you spouting? Have you lost your mind?" I stopped what I was doing, let out a cold laugh, and stood up, grabbing the luggage I had packed in advance. "Yes, I've gone mad. After enduring so much injustice. Who wouldn't go mad? Just thinking about the tragic fate awaiting me in the future makes me want to go insane and hack Gu Tingzhou to death. But I don't want to go to jail over some fucking idiot. He's not worth it. Right now, I just want to stay the hell away from this asshole." As soon as I got home from the hospital, I started packing to run. In the original book, all the harm I suffered was directly or indirectly related to Gu Tingzhou. Stay away from toxic men to stay safe. I packed my luggage and went downstairs, only to see Gu Tingzhou and his childhood sweetheart Tang Xian sitting in the living room. "Brother Tingzhou, I want to eat drunken shrimp." "All right." Gu Tingzhou's voice was full of affection. "I'll have Lin Shuha make it for you." He turned and saw me, his expression darkening. Go handle the seafood in the kitchen. Hearing this, I paused, my brows furrowing so tightly they could crush a fly. Suddenly remembered how I used to serve Gu Tingzhou like an idiot. I'm allergic to seafood. Every time I touch it, I suffer, yet I still fucking insisted on making it for Gu Tingzhou with such eagerness. And it wasn't just for him, I even made it for his childhood sweetheart. Looking back now, I wish I could go back and slap myself awake. Fortunately, I'm truly awake now. Without even glancing at Gu Tingzhou, I rolled my eyes and walked away. But Gu Tingzhou's expression suddenly changed as he stood up and grabbed me. Where do you think you're going? Didn't you hear what I said? Having you cook for Xin is an honor for you. Don't forget what tricks you used to marry me in the first place. Fuck me. I burst out laughing in anger, but my mind became even clearer from the rage. This bastard really forgets the pain once the wound heals. Turning to look at Gu Tingzhou, I enunciated each word clearly. Very well, you've reminded me. Since you find me so repulsive, let's get divorced immediately. Don't stand in the way of this lady's solo flight. Gu Tingzhou's expression changed several times, and after a moment, it seemed he had thought of something. Lin Shuha, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Playing hard to get with me? No. What the hell are you barking about? Gu Tingzhou thinks I'm trying to seduce him, since the virtuous wife persona didn't work before. You're changing tactics now. Huh, he sneered. No matter what you do, it's useless. My heart will always belong to Jiayin, Bian Jiayin, Gu Tingzhou's white moonlight who went abroad. He seemed quite pleased with himself and was still lecturing me. Lin Shuha, you need to recognize your place. Apologize to me now, and I might consider forgiving you. Apologize my ass. I couldn't take it anymore, so I grabbed a vase and hurled it at them. Gu Tingzhou was terrified and asked me in panic what I was doing. What do you want? I'm going to go crazy. From now on, you'd all better watch out, otherwise, I'll beat up anyone who comes near me, 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, how dare he have the nerve. I was going to let this idiot off, but who knew he'd stick his face out asking to be slapped. Lin Shuha, you venomous woman, you're just jealous of Jiayin, jealous that I love her, jealous of our love. Gu Tingzhou erupted in furious curses. Excuse me, I sneered, you claim to love her, yet when she went abroad to study, you didn't follow. Country is so close, but you didn't go. The moment she left, you found a replacement, and you're still entangled with your childhood sweetheart. You're fickle, flirtatious, and still have the nerve to say you love her. The most important thing is I don't like you. Stop flattering yourself, you narcissistic jerk. Gu Tingzhou's face turned pale with anger. Speechless, Tang Xin stepped forward. How dare you talk to Tingzhou like that? I immediately shifted my focus. And you? I haven't even settled the score with you for constantly picking fights. At such a young age, you're not learning anything good. What's with being a villainess? All you think about is love and romance. Is your life really that dull? Does your life have no joy or pleasure beyond Gu Tingzhou? Don't you have a proper job? Have you contributed anything to society in all your years? Have you ever done a single good deed? Tang Xin struggled for a long time, her little face turning bright red, and then suddenly burst into tears. I raised the vase Gu Tingzhou's white moonlight had given him high in the air, flashing a kindly smile. Divorce me, and I'll let it go. Divorce it is. Gu Tingzhou's eyes burned with anger. Whoever backs out is a dog. The next day, Gu Tingzhou went back on his word. So what if I'm a dog? He stiffened his neck and retorted stubbornly. Dogs are man's best friend. I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. Then why don't you go eat shit? Gu Tingzhou's face turned red, and after a long pause, he managed to say, I'm giving you a chance, even though you have a bad temper, come from a poor family, and don't have a job. As long as you truly repent, I'll forgive you. If you're smart, you'll take back the divorce papers right now. Damn, still trying to gaslight me. I slapped him twice more. Stop talking nonsense. Gu Tingzhou, getting desperate from the beating, covered his head and ran. Are you seeing someone else? This idiot won't look at his own faults and instead tries to smear me. I crossed my arms and sneered. Yeah, there are 10 or 8 of them. Puppy-like, wolf-like, 8-pack abs. You name it, each one younger and cuter than you. Gu Tingzhou stopped running. His face turned green with anger. Then don't even think about it. I'll never sign. He suddenly clutched his head. Even if you beat me to death today, I won't sign. Fine, really fine. In the end, a divorce agreement is just a piece of paper. I've already awakened. Could I really be trapped by a mere sheet of paper? I strode out of this house, with Gu Tingzhou's voice coming from behind me. Lin Shuha, sooner or later you'll come back begging me. By then, I'll make you kneel and plead with me. I took off my slipper and flung it at him with a smack. Stop barking like a dog. Ah, Gu Tingzhou let out a scream. You hit me again. After leaving Gu Tingzhou, I felt like the world had become a better place. Everything tasted delicious, my health was excellent, and I even found a well-paying job. But just 2 days into the job, the boss called me into his office, looking at me with sympathy. Shuha, I really admire your work skills, but our company has been acquired, and the new owner specifically asked to let you go. No need to guess, it was definitely that bastard Gu Tingzhou's doing. I sneered and dialed Gu Tingzhou's number. Gu, you're such a shameless prick. Gu Tingzhou choked for a moment. Beg me now, and I'll let you go back to work. Beg, beg, beg. You wish. You look like a fool to me. Gu Tingzhou wants me to yield. In his dreams. Fine, don't work then. Plenty of people are lining up to throw money at me. Gu Tingzhou's mother threw a bank card in front of me. 5 million, leave my son, before. I thought you could at least work as a maid in the Gu family and serve Tingzhou decently, but now, she gave me a disdainful glance. You're completely worthless. I laughed. Who the hell are you to judge my worth? Your son is valuable. He's electricity. He's light. He's the only myth. So how is he only worth 5 million? I snorted coldly. Add more money, or I'll haunt him relentlessly, even as a ghost. The disdain in Mrs. Gu's eyes grew even more evident. Another million then. I folded my arms. Add another million. I pick my toes. Mother Gu's veins bulge on her neck. 10 million. I immediately pull out the voluntary gift agreement. Sign here. Before leaving, Mother Gu glared at me fiercely. How could Tingzhou have ever fallen for someone like you? I calmly checked my bank account balance. Because he's blind, deaf, and has a sick brain. And one more thing. I looked up at her. You just admitted that I have value. Gu Tingzhou is only worth 5 million. But the act of me leaving is worth 10 million. As for my own worth, it's a price you can't afford. I waved at her. Get lost already. Don't stand there being an eyesore. Mrs. Gu slammed the private room door with a deafening crash. Nothing but impotent rage. I took a sip of tea and was about to leave when the private room door was opened. Tang Xian stood at the doorway. Lin Shuha, I need to talk to you. Tang Xian's eyes were red and swollen, her cheeks gaunt. Looking as haggard as if a demon had drained her vitality. Brother Tingzhou hasn't been doing well lately. I was overjoyed. Is he about to die? Tang Xian glared at me. Of course not. But recently he hasn't been eating well, can't sleep properly, and has lost a lot of weight. I'm very worried. Oh, I felt somewhat disappointed. None of my damn business. The original novel's setting gave Gu Tingzhou a female lead syndrome. He could only eat meals I cooked, sleep with me, and needed my company. He was comfortable, but I had to sacrifice my studies, freedom, and even my life to serve him. If he had to exploit me to survive, then he might as well just die. Tang Xian was very displeased. Lin Shuha, how can you be so cold, so selfish, so vicious? Is refusing to sacrifice for others considered vicious? I laughed in anger. Tang Xian, what exactly are you trying to say? Tang Xian's eyes reddened. She turned her head to wipe away tears before sobbing. I want you to go back and take care of him. I'm willing to give him to you, as long as he can be healthy and happy. Woo woo, if you want money, I can give it to you too. Great, another love-struck fool. I clapped loudly. How touching. But it's useless. I'm leaving. Don't bother me so much from now on. I turned to go down the stairs, but Tang Xian suddenly rushed over and hugged my leg, shouting for me not to leave. I'll kneel for you as an apology. Will you go back and take care of Brother Tingzhou? Please, please, I beg you. Woo woo. I was completely startled, thinking this young lady had really gone all out. I tried to pull her up, but she clung tightly to my leg and wouldn't let go. All right, get up first. Really? Tang Xian's eyes lit up, immediately trying to get up, but her high heels twisted, causing her to miss a step on the stairs. Thud, she tumbled down the stairs and was knocked unconscious. I took Tang Xian to the hospital, and she woke up during the examination. Lin Shuha, I just had a dream. I let out a, I dreamed that this world was a book. You were the tragic heroine, and I was the villainess. We fought to the death over Gu Tingzhou. I was a bit surprised. You've awakened. Tang Xian froze for a moment, then repeated in confusion, I've awakened. After I explained the whole story to her, Tang came to her senses. She hugged me and burst into tears, frantically repenting. Shuha, I was wrong. I really deserve to die. I shouldn't have worn bright red to your wedding, shouldn't have secretly added 5 spoonfuls of salt when you were cooking, shouldn't have cooperated with Gu Tingzhou to bully you, woo-woo. I patted her head. All right, I forgive you. Tang Xian was young, and her methods were childish. She used to pull small tricks to annoy me, but they never caused any serious harm. Let go of that girl. A sudden shout came from behind, followed by a force that yanked me away. It was Gu Tingzhou. He rushed over and hugged Tang Xian, carefully examining her head. Xin, how are you? Does it still hurt? Tang Xian looked utterly confused. Why are you here? Uncle Tang said you had an accident. So I came immediately. Gu Tingzhou turned to look at me, his face full of disgust. Did Lin Shuha push you down the stairs? Tell me, and I'll avenge you. I rolled my eyes, while Tang Xian's voice chimed in, saying, Are you out of your mind? Gu Tingzhou echoed, Yeah, are you out of your mind? Tang Xian couldn't take it anymore. She pushed Gu Tingzhou away, jumped up, and started yelling at him. Big brother, I'm talking about you. You're seriously sick in the head. Beep, fell for it. Beep, beep. Like you. This is infuriating. Are you, beep, trying to kill me or what? Gu Tingzhou was stunned. He tried to figure out what was going on. Xin, why are you? Tang Xian, in a fit of anger, slapped him hard across the face with a loud smack. Damn it, just seeing you pisses me off. Gu Tingzhou numbly covered his left cheek, and after a moment, he understood again. Lin Shuha, look at what you've done. He was furious. Xin's head is injured. Gu Tingzhou felt he had uncovered the truth and snorted coldly. Lin Shuha, if you have any issues, take them out on me. Don't bully Xin. I was truly mistaken about you before. I never thought you could be so vicious, hurting an innocent person just to get my attention. Damn, it's so fucking noisy. I raised my hand and gave him a hard slap across his right cheek. Had enough yet? Everyone's awakened, and you're the only dumbass still following the script. Gu Tingzhou covered his face in a daze, his hands trembling like Parkinson's, and his lips quivered twice. You, before he could finish speaking, he actually fainted from anger. When Gu Tingzhou woke up, he was still the same punchable bastard as before, but to avoid starving to death, he had no choice but to lower his head to me. With a meek and submissive expression, he begged me to return as his chef, offering a monthly salary of 300,000, weekends off, and social security benefits. I took out the divorce agreement and said, Sign this. Gu Tingzhou looked troubled, hesitating and dragging his feet, but finally, under the threat of my physical force, he revealed the truth. It turned out his grandfather had consulted a fortune teller who predicted that I could bring prosperity to my husband, wealth to the family, and even ward off disasters for the Gu family. The fortune teller also warned that if Gu Tingzhou dared to divorce me, he wouldn't be allowed to inherit the family conglomerate. With a cold laugh, I flexed my wrist and enunciated each word slowly. Either sign, or die, choose one. Gu Tingzhou signed the papers with a face full of resentment. Out of curiosity, I asked him, Then does your mom still dare to urge me to divorce you quickly? Gu Tingzhou froze, because his mom thinks that old man won't live long, and the group will eventually belong to her son. Tang Xian poked her little head out from the kitchen. The drama of wealthy families runs deep. TSK. I said, TSK. Gu Tingzhou asked, Why are you in my house too? Tang Xian waved her fist at him. I'm here to protect Sister Shuha. Then she looked at me with an innocent expression. Shuha, can we have spicy blood stew for dinner tonight? Great. My eyes lit up. Extra spicy, extra numbing. Gu Tingzhou disagreed. I can't handle spicy food. I want to eat seafood. Lin Shuha, you took the money, so you have to make what I like to eat. I sneered. Eat it or get lost. During dinner, Gu Tingzhou tearfully devoured 2 large bowls of rice. When it was time to sleep, Tang Xian tugged at the corner of my clothes. Shuha sister, I'm scared. I want to sleep with you. I nodded, and she immediately cheered and rushed into my bedroom, sticking her tongue out at Gu Tingzhou as she entered. Gu Tingzhou's face showed a hint of hesitation. After a long pause, He took small steps toward me. I'm scared. I want to get lost. I kicked him away. Don't you dare come near me, you damn dog. After 2 months, Gu Tingzhou had become completely obedient. Eat whatever is given, go wherever pointed, dare to be angry but not speak out, and even when beaten by Tang Xian, dare not resist. Tang Xian would hit Gu Tingzhou's head with various objects every day, trying to wake him up, but all she got was a head full of bumps. She grumbled angrily, "That damn man's head is really hard." That day, Gu Tingzhou suddenly became energetic, radiant, and even dared to talk back to me, Lin Shuha. "Your good days are coming to an end." Tang Xian and I exchanged a glance, both sensing a hint of unease in each other's eyes. Bian Jiayin, Gu Tingzhou's white moonlight, is about to return to the country. Bian Jiayin is a highly skilled Black Lotus. In the original book, she deeply despised me and Tang Xian, believing that we had taken away Gu Tingzhou's love. Not only did she cause me to have a premature birth, but she also orchestrated a car accident that left Tang Xian permanently disabled. Later, Gu Tingzhou learned the truth, but all he said was, "Jiayin just loves me too much, it's not her fault." One of us died, and the other was left injured, all because of her so-called love. What nonsense! I decided to strike first and lock Gu Tingzhou and Bian Jiayin together, so they wouldn't come mess with me and Tang Xian. When we set off for the airport, Tang Xian held my hand tightly. "Don't worry, sis, I've prepared some tools for you in the trunk." I was a bit puzzled. What tools would we need to pick someone up? Until I opened the trunk and was completely dumbfounded. A chainsaw, an axe, snakeskin bags, ropes as thick as a thumb, and even knockout drugs and a tranquilizer gun. Me. Just as I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, a woman's voice suddenly came from behind. "Hello, are you Miss Lin Shuha?" I turned around and froze in place. With just one glance, I knew she was Bian Jiayin. She bore a slight resemblance to me in the eyes, but the mole at the corner of her eye gave her a more alluring and bold aura. She reached out her hand with a radiant smile. "Let me introduce myself. I'm Bian Jiayin. Also Gu Tingzhou's white moonlight." My heart was pounding, but I forced myself to stay calm as I shook her hand. "Lin Shuha, I'm your..." Before I could finish, I heard an angry shout. "Stop!" Gu Tingzhou ran over quickly, spreading his arms to shield Bian Jiayin. "Lin Shuha, what are you doing here? Are you following me? What do you want? Are you trying to harm Jiayin? You jealous woman, can't you leave anyone around me alone?" Here we go again. This idiot is following the script again. I took a deep breath, rolled my wrists, and stretched my shoulders. Then swung my arm in a full arc and slapped him 4 resounding smacks across the face. Damn it, so annoying. I rubbed my reddened palm, and when my gaze landed on Bian Jiayin standing behind him, I froze abruptly. Shit, I hit him out of habit. Bian Jiayin loves Gu Tingzhou so much. She definitely won't be able to take this. Thinking of this, I let out a dry laugh. There was a mosquito on Gu Tingzhou's face, so I helped him swat it. "Huh, Miss Bian wouldn't be angry, right?" Gu Tingzhou covered his face, utterly stunned. Bian Jiayin froze for a moment, her expression somewhat peculiar. After a long pause, she glanced at Gu Tingzhou, then looked at me. "Miss Lin is quite humorous," I said. "Miss Bian is quite good at giving compliments too." After a few awkward exchanges, Bian Jiayin couldn't take it anymore. She fled to Gu Tingzhou's car as if escaping. "I'm hungry, let's go eat." Gu Tingzhou had reserved a candlelit dinner, but Bian Jiayin insisted on going to a Sichuan restaurant. "I'm tired of eating Western food abroad." Gu Tingzhou nodded repeatedly. Indeed, I didn't consider that carefully enough, but when the dishes arrived, his face turned green. The table was full of greasy and spicy food, leaving him at a loss for where to start. I suppressed a laugh in my heart when suddenly I heard Bian Jiayin speak calmly. "Miss Lin and Tingzhou look so well matched." Alarm bells rang in my head, and I immediately went into full battle mode. "Miss Bian, you're quite the joker." I forced a laugh. Miss Bian and Gu Tingzhou are the perfect pair. A talented man and a beautiful woman, a wolf's heart and a dog's lungs. A wolf. I abruptly shut my mouth. Damn it, I actually said my thoughts out loud. Bian Jiayin's face twisted for a moment before she took out a jewelry box and handed it to me. "I couldn't make it back for your wedding, but it's not too late to give a gift now, is it?" "It is too late," I replied immediately. "We're already divorced." "Are you kidding? I wouldn't dare accept this gift. What if it's a grenade that blows me to pieces?" Afraid she wouldn't believe me, I pulled the divorce agreement out of my bag. See, it's done. Bian Jiayin looked utterly shocked, her gaze darting between me and Gu Tingzhou. After a long pause, she let out a sharp, "Huh, what does this mean?" I couldn't figure it out no matter how hard I tried. Watching Gu Tingzhou escort Bian Jiayin to the hotel, the two of them being all lovey-dovey at the entrance, perfect match, lock them in forever, whatever she's thinking, just don't drag me and Tang Xian into it. Gu Tingzhou and Bian Jiayin were making rapid progress, so to stay safe, Tang Xian and I quickly moved out. I bought a house, and Tang Xian moved in with me, teaching me business knowledge along the way. My parents said I'm no longer love-struck and told me to study hard so I can inherit the family business in the future. Shuha, you're highly educated and smart. Let's start a company together. I agreed. Tang Xian and I started a media company, preparing to enter the entertainment industry. Tang Xian held a stack of trainee profiles and marveled, "Look at this cute puppy, and then this fierce wolf. Aren't they both better than Gu Tingzhou?" I nodded. Gu Tingzhou only embodies the word dog. He's quite the bastard. While building our careers, we also kept an eye on the progress of Gu Tingzhou's love life. One day, Tang Xian rushed into the office in a panic, shouting that everything was over. "Sis, our CP ship seems to be sinking." The detective caught Gu Tingzhou and Bian Jiayin arguing on the street, and they even got physical. Tang Xian started crying as she spoke. "What are we going to do if they break up?" I calmed Tang Xian down and decided to go check the situation myself. According to the plot, Gu Tingzhou was taking Bian Jiayin on a vacation to a suburban villa, and the two were supposed to go to the mountaintop to enjoy the scenery tonight. I booked a grand fireworks show and hid in the grass with Tang Xian. After getting bitten by mosquitoes 7 times, they finally arrived, but they seemed to be arguing, with Bian Jiayin passionately saying something while Gu Tingzhou followed behind. Looking dejected, as they got closer, it became clear that Bian Jiayin was giving Gu Tingzhou a lecture. "Do you think it's appropriate, interesting, or likely to win a girl's heart by calling her to the mountaintop to see the scenery in the middle of the night?" Gu Tingzhou whispered that it wasn't. "Did you memorize what I taught you yesterday? Recite it for me." Gu Tingzhou looked aggrieved. During a relationship, one should always pay attention to their partner's emotions. Respect their opinions, and acknowledge their efforts. Love is a two-way street that requires mutual effort and dedication from both sides. When planning a date, actively communicate with the girl, listen to her opinions, and consider her needs. Prepare in advance by scouting the location and scheduling the time properly. Tang Xian murmured in admiration. "Their date is so full of charm." I couldn't agree more. I've never seen someone give a love lesson during a date before. Gu Tingzhou recited for a long time before Bian Jiayin's expression finally softened slightly. "Theory alone isn't enough. What matters is putting it into practice. Only by combining theory and practice can we establish a normal, equal, and healthy romantic relationship." Before she could finish speaking, a firework suddenly exploded in the sky. I perked up. "Here it comes, little one. This will totally captivate them both." The fireworks display was beautiful, and I was completely engrossed when a voice tinged with laughter reached my ears. "Enjoying the show?" I nodded. "It looks good. After all, it cost a fortune." "Huh?" I froze for a moment, turning to meet Bian Jiayin's smiling eyes. I swallowed hard. "I can explain." "No need to explain." Bian Jiayin suddenly changed her expression and snorted coldly. She strode over to Gu Tingzhou and gave him a hard kick with her leg. "You scumbag!" Two-timing jerk, setting off a fireworks show for 2, no, 3 people to watch. I knew it. "You must have changed your heart, fallen for another woman. There's no way we can be together now. Lin Shuha is clearly your true love. Don't you dare bother me again from now on. Get lost." Bian Jiayin stormed off angrily, and Gu Tingzhou quickly chased after her to explain. Tang Xian watched their retreating figures and whispered to me, "Sis, did we mess up?" I was on the verge of tears. Seems like it. How is this completely different from the original plot? A week later, I received a call from Gu Tingzhou. "I'm going to get engaged to Jiayin. Jiayin said she hopes to receive your blessing, so you must come." I instantly understood. Wasn't this just to show off in front of me? Of course I'd go. The engagement venue was bustling with excitement. Tang Xian and I hid in a corner, watching Gu Tingzhou in his tailored suit mingling with the guests. According to the original plot, Gu Tingzhou would deliver a lengthy romantic speech, followed by a spotlight shining on Bien Jiayin as the music swelled. Tang Xian's comment on this was, tacky, so tacky. As I watched Gu Tingzhou pick up the microphone, I suddenly sensed something was off. Where is Bien Jiayin? Tang Xian froze. She is the most important person in my life, and also the love of my life. As Gu Tingzhou finished speaking, a beam of light suddenly descended from the sky, shining directly upon me. What? I looked up in shock, locking eyes with Gu Tingzhou on the stage. Amid the melodious music, his gaze was filled with shock, bewilderment, and an emotion I couldn't decipher. Let's go. A bold guess suddenly surfaced in my mind, and I grabbed Tang Xian's hand to leave. Gu Tingzhou quickly descended from the stage and blocked our path. Where are you going? Wait, where's Jiayin? Did you hide Jiayin? Lin Shuha. You? I shoved him away. Get lost. Don't stand in my way. The guests, puzzled, quickly made way for me. Tang Xian and I went backstage and finally found Bien Jiayin by the poolside. She was leisurely sunbathing and seemed quite startled when she saw us. How did you all get here? We both spoke at the same time. Aren't you supposed to be having your wedding with Gu Tingzhou? That dog. Right now. We spoke in unison again. As the words fell, both of us fell silent. Tang Xian cautiously raised her hand. I think I get it. But also, not really. Just then, Gu Tingzhou caught up to us. He seemed to have been drinking, his steps unsteady as he walked straight up to me and grabbed my shoulders firmly. Jiayin, where have you been just now? I was looking for you. I was startled and instinctively pushed him toward Bien Jiayin. She's over there. You've got the wrong person. Bien Jiayin quickly dodged and shoved Tang Xian away. Stay the hell away from me. I've had enough of this. Tang Xian screamed and kicked. Ah. This kick sent Gu Tingzhou straight into the swimming pool. She patted her chest and sighed. Oh my god, that scared me to death. Good thing I reacted quickly. Tang Xian suddenly smacked her forehead, extremely excited. I get it. We've all awakened, haven't we? So you awakened while abroad? I asked Bien Jiayin. She nodded. I was preparing for a stage play performance at the time, when I heard the news of Gu Tingzhou's marriage. I fell off the stage and then awakened. I thought as long as I didn't do anything bad and just got the two of you together, it would. She forced a laugh. But I never expected it would backfire. Bien Jiayin held my hand and shook it back and forth, pleading pitifully. Shuha, can you forgive me? I cleared my throat somewhat guiltily. Actually, I was thinking the same thing as you. Great. Bien Jiayin immediately straightened her back, leaned over, and planted a loud kiss on my cheek, blinking her eyes. Now we're even. Then she naturally wrapped her arm around mine, as expected of the female lead. You smell deliciously like cream all over. Not far away, a few men whistled at us. Hey beauties, wanna hang out? Bien Jiayin immediately perked up. She whistled back at them, even playing a little tune, which sent them running in no time. Tang Xian burst into laughter, nearly rolling off the lounge chair. She gave a thumbs up. Jiayin, you're absolutely amazing. Then she turned to me. See, sis. I told you relaxing would do you good. I nodded. We were on the beach in Phuket, with blue skies and vast ocean, utterly blissful. Suddenly, Bien Jiayin's phone rang. She glanced at it, cursed under her breath, and hung up before powering it off. 2 minutes later, Tang Xian's phone rang. Without even looking, she answered directly. Hello. After a few words from the other end, Tang Xian's face darkened. None of my damn business. Stop bothering me. She hung up the call and was about to speak when another ringtone interrupted her. This time it was my phone that rang. Bien Jiayin and Tang Xian both turned to look at me simultaneously. Seeing their expressions, I suddenly had a flash of insight. Gu Tingzhou's mom. They leaned in to look as I answered the call and put it on speakerphone. Hello, hey, Shuha, where are you right now? Gu's mother's tone was unnervingly gentle. I didn't answer, only asking what she wanted. Gu's mother seemed to struggle with her words, hesitating before saying, Tingzhou is sick. Could you come see him? I instinctively refused, not going, hanging up. The other end immediately grew anxious. Don't hang up, Shuha, Tingzhou. He hit his head and insists this is some kind of novel world. He's making a scene to see you. I'm begging you, please come see him. I raised an eyebrow slightly. He's awakened, Mrs. Gu quickly responded, yes. He keeps talking about awakening or something. I don't understand. Not going. I said coolly. It's too late to wake up now. The three of us blocked all the Gu family's phone numbers and focused on our careers after the trip. Bian Jiayin showed great interest in our media company. She twirled in front of me, exuding charm and grace with every movement. She batted her eyelashes again. Support me, how about that? Of course. I agreed with both hands and feet. What a perfect cash cow, right? So Bian Jiayin also moved into my place, under the pretext of inspecting the work environment, but in reality, it was just to mooch meals. We bought groceries and were heading home when we saw an unexpected guest at the door. Gu Tingzhou, with a stubbled face and a disheveled appearance, was squatting by the entrance. He immediately stood up when he saw us return. He took a step forward. Shuha, Bian Jiayin and Tang Xian immediately stepped in front of me. What are you doing here? Gu Tingzhou, seeing you brings bad luck. Get lost. Gu Tingzhou didn't respond, his gaze fixed intently on me. Shuha, I want to talk to you. 10 minutes. No, 5 minutes. Okay, please. I just want to talk to you. I sighed and let Bian Jiayin and Tang Xian go in first. Speak. Gu Tingzhou moved his lips. Shuha, I was wrong. I'm sorry. I lowered my eyes and remained silent. I shouldn't have betrayed your trust. Shouldn't have allowed those around me to bully you. Shouldn't have hurt you. I've done so many wrong things before. I know I was wrong. Will you forgive me? He kept repeating apologies, begging for my forgiveness over and over. I remained completely silent. Gu Tingzhou grew increasingly frantic, his voice trembling. Shuha. None of that was what I truly wanted to do. It was all the plot. I didn't mean any of it. Now that I've awakened, will you give me a chance? I chuckled softly and looked directly into Gu Tingzhou's eyes. You want me to give you a chance? Gu Tingzhou, let me ask you this. If I hadn't awakened, who would have given me that chance? At that moment, Gu Tingzhou's face turned deathly pale. I will die on the operating table, ending my miserable life in a wretched manner, and you? Your life remains happy and perfect. After a hypocritical show of remorse, you'll still be the enviable CEO of Gu Corporation. I took a deep breath, unable to suppress the frustration in my heart any longer. When I first awakened, I couldn't understand why, as the male and female leads of a book, were our lives as different as heaven and earth. I was an orphan who struggled to get into a prestigious university, only to be trapped in a family, becoming a universally disliked nanny. While you were like heaven's favorite child, born into wealth, with a harmonious family, money, power, and a smooth, fortunate life, even a group of girls would surround you, vying for your attention and fighting each other out of jealousy. I sincerely sighed. Gu Tingzhou, you're so fortunate. I can't stand it. Why should Gu Tingzhou's happiness be built upon my suffering? Why should I be a mere tool to serve the male lead and glorify love? Why must I endure so much suffering? Only to use it to please men. I refuse, and I won't comply. Using these sufferings to prove and win Gu Tingzhou's love is completely meaningless. I no longer obsess over understanding this matter. I only know one thing. I must love myself well. I will change the plot, overthrow this goddamn world, and embrace a brand new, happy life. If gods stand in my way, I'll slay gods. If Buddhas block my path, I'll cut down Buddhas. Whoever dares to be a stumbling block on my path, I'll blow them up. I turned to leave, but Gu Tingzhou grabbed my arm. His eyes were red. Shuha, do you really not love me anymore? I stopped and said word by word. Gu Tingzhou, I never loved you. Gu Tingzhou cried, saying, but I love you. Is that so? I smiled faintly. Your love is too cheap. I don't want it. He wanted to say more, gripping my arm tightly and refusing to let go. I winced in pain and tried to shake him off when suddenly the door behind me opened. Bian Jiayin and Tang Xian rushed out. One wielding a kitchen knife, the other a mop. Charge! Tang Xian raised the mop and dashed forward. Kill the Gu dog. Take back Shuha. Gu Tingzhou was forced to retreat a few steps, while Bian Jiayin immediately stepped in front of me with the kitchen knife raised. Shuha's safety is my responsibility to protect. In the end, Gu Tingzhou left in tears. Tang Xian immediately came up to me. Shuha, don't be afraid. I'll protect you. Bian Jiayin also said, from now on, you're the princess. And we'll be your knights. The two of them looked so serious. It was adorable. A warm feeling surged in my heart, and I smiled as I said, okay. I patted Bian Jiayin's head and pinched Tang Xian's cheek. I'll protect you both too. Gu Tingzhou came back a few more times later, but each time he was driven away by Bien Jiayin and Tang Xian, I felt annoyed, so I called the mental hospital and had Gu Tingzhou taken away. Tang Xian said angrily. Just thinking about how I used to chase after Gu Tingzhou makes me want to slap myself twice. I'm going to develop PTSD from men. Don't think like that. I pinched her little face. Don't punish yourself for a scumbag's mistakes. Let bygones be bygones. Look ahead, MHM. Tang Xian nodded earnestly. So I've recently taken a liking to a university professor. The cold, aloof, and abstinent type. I'm in love. I couldn't help but laugh and cry at the same time. This is already the 6th one you fancied this year. Tang Xian suddenly had an epiphany. Ah, I fell for a Lao Lu, old 6. No wonder he's so hard to chase. She grinned, revealing 2 small canine teeth. I know my limits. Focus on my career. As for men, just have some fun with them. Bien Jiayin was pounding the sandbag beside her. I've made some progress with boxing recently. Next time, I'll beat that bastard Gu until he's picking his teeth off the floor. I sighed and rubbed my forehead. Dear MS, Bien Jiayin, you just won Best Actress. Could you at least try to maintain your image? What if your fans see you like this? Bien Jiayin hummed twice, took off her boxing gloves, and leaned against me as if boneless. If they see it, so be it. Maybe it'll even inspire my female fans to take up boxing. If they meet a bad man, they can just give him 2 solid punches. Me, that's not entirely unreasonable. In the afternoon, I met Gu Tingzhou's mother. She was no longer the arrogant and domineering person she had been before, her tone now humble. Shuha, Tingzhou just had a fall and hurt his head. He's not mentally ill. If you're willing to get back together with Tingzhou, he'll recover. There was a hint of hope in Mrs. Gu's eyes. Of course not. I smiled faintly. You wish. I placed a bank card in front of her. There's 10 million in here. The money you've paid to make me leave before. Now I'm returning it to you in full, Mrs. Gu's expression shifted several times before finally settling on mockery. She said, you must have latched onto some rich man, right? That's why you don't want to get back together with Tingzhou. Got a little money and now you're disgusting, morally bankrupt. Tingzhou was right to divorce you. Even if Tingzhou begs me, I won't let you step foot in my house again. I took a sip of tea and slightly raised an eyebrow. Finished, Mother Gu snorted. Finished, fine. I raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face. You old hag, I've wanted to hit you for a long time. Since you can only rely on men, you think everyone else is the same, huh? Growing wrinkles every day but never growing a brain or any wisdom, huh? I've seen toilets in bathrooms, but never one in a mouth. Stop spewing shit all over the place. You're the one treating Gu Tingzhou like a treasure, but in my eyes, he's nothing but trash. I unleashed a torrent of words, leaving Gu's mother red-faced and fuming. You, her fingers trembled, speechless. I flipped her the bird, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You're beyond redemption, utterly hopeless. Keep your son in check, and don't let him disgust us again. Otherwise, next time it won't be a mental hospital, but the gates of hell. I strode away, exhaling deeply as I stepped out of the tea house, feeling an overwhelming sense of relief. Finally, I've shaken off the last burden. Sis, Shuha sis, across the street. Tang Xian waved at me from her pink Lamborghini. My eyes lit up as I strode toward them. Bien Jiayin stood by the car waiting for me, her arms wide open. Come here, hug. I smiled and hugged her, whispering, it's all over now. The old chapter has come to an end. We're going to write a new chapter, one that belongs to us. Tang Xian ultimately fell for the aloof and reserved university professor. She brought that man to meet us, hesitantly introducing, this is Pei Yanji. Before she could finish the rest of her words, her ears turned red. Pei Yanji quietly tightened his grip on her hand and spoke up first. I'm Xinxin's boyfriend. Bien Jiayin and I teased. Oh, Pei Yanji's ears turned red at the tips this time. Bien Jiayin and I exchanged a glance. What an adorable couple they were. Pei Yanji cleared his throat and spoke earnestly. I'm truly grateful to you both. Not just because you're Xinxin's close friends, but also because your awakening altered the plot and even changed the entire trajectory of the book. I was originally just an extra in the story. He chuckled, tightening his grip on Tang Xian's hand. But now, I have a whole new life. Later, when Tang Xian and Pei Yanji held their wedding, Bien Jiayin and I sat in the audience, overwhelmed with emotions. I wiped away my tears, Why does this feel like giving away a daughter? Dian Jian laughed so hard she trembled, raising her glass and winking at me. May we all achieve what we desire and get what we wish for. I clinked glasses with her and couldn't help but laugh. We will become the people we truly want to be, and we will have a bright and happy future. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I seem to have traveled to a parallel world. Here, I am the tragic heroine of a cruel romance novel. At this moment, I've lost my child and my kidney, and the legendary domineering CEO is looking down at me from above. Frank, a person who originally didn't exist in my world. He entered with his assistant while I was lying in bed sorting through my memories. In this world, apart from having a completely opposite personality to mine, the original body was identical to me in every way, from name and appearance to educational background. Therefore, I have reason to suspect that I've arrived in a parallel world. It's just that this parallel world seems to be a domineering CEO novel full of tragic romance. According to the nurse, I donated a kidney while 5 months pregnant. The recipient was the CEO's white moonlight, my adopted sister Bella. The baby was, of course, aborted. This makes no sense, but in the world of domineering CEO novels, the male lead is the law. I heard you woke up, so I came to see you. Frank stared down at me. A flicker of emotion passed through his dark eyes before they turned cold again. I understand. This scumbag is the legendary type who keeps one eye on the pot and the other on the pan. Because the white moonlight tormented the original Susan both physically and emotionally. Yet inexplicably felt heartache when seeing her truly in mortal danger. Absolutely disgusting. In my youth, I was also obsessed with this kind of novel. Only after growing up did I realize that in this kind of novel, from the male lead to the female supporting characters, everyone seems to have some serious issues. Now that I've lost a kidney, if I go through another round of tragic romance, I'll probably either fake my death or flee the country. But I can't be bothered with all that drama. I plan to take the shortcut. Sorry, my memory seems to be a bit faulty. May I ask who you are? After speaking, I feigned helplessness and lowered my eyes. Faking death could certainly make Frank quickly realize his love for Susan, but who knows how many more years that would take to sort out. I refuse to go through that. I want to live in front of him, to live until I forget his very existence. That way, every time he sees me, he'll be reminded of Susan's goodness. Isn't the most tormenting thing in this world the thought of, I could have? As the words fell, Frank's breath hitched, and his brows furrowed tightly. Susan, what trick are you trying to pull now? Do you think pretending to have amnesia will get you out of this divorce? With that, he stepped forward and gripped my chin. Tears welled up in my eyes as I reached out to press the call button. Damn bastard. Every movement sends pain shooting through my entire body. I will have my revenge for the kidney they took from me. Of course, I know the hospital staff are somewhat afraid of Frank's influence. I'm doing this just to make a statement. When the doctor arrived, Frank acted as if he was about to expose my lies and had them examine me. But the human brain is the most mysterious. I insist it's amnesia. The doctor could only say it might be due to brief oxygen deprivation during the transplant surgery, which indeed caused memory loss. Is there any hope of recovery? Frank lit a cigarette anxiously as he spoke. The doctor choked on the smoke but dared not voice his anger. Sir, could you please not smoke in my hospital room? At this moment, I looked at him as if he were a complete stranger, even with a hint of disdain in my eyes. Frank stared at me, stubbed out his cigarette, and then said to his assistant, "Go next door and call Mrs. Smith over." The Mrs. Smith he mentioned was Susan's mother. It's almost laughable. While her own daughter had a kidney removed, she was next door keeping her adopted daughter company. Even though I had mentally prepared myself, I still froze the moment I saw Mrs. Smith's face. Just as I thought, it was the exact same face as my mother's. Mom, I couldn't help but let out a cry. If possible, I want to return to my world immediately. Mrs. Smith was visibly startled by my slightly aggrieved voice, as if she was quite unaccustomed to it. It suddenly dawned on me that she wasn't my mother. In this world, Susan seems to be my polar opposite. I have a strong personality and never let any slight go unpunished. She, on the other hand, is weak-willed and overly submissive. I come from a wealthy family, the only child doted on by my parents. She was lost since childhood. Grew up relying on the kindness of strangers, while her parents adopted a replacement. after finally returning home, she fell in love with Frank, her arranged marriage partner, yet he had grown up with her adopted sister as childhood sweethearts, and harbored deep hatred for her. After Mrs. Smith sat down, she briefly explained the situation to me, offered a few hollow words of comfort, and then got straight to the point. "Susan, I hope you don't hold a grudge against Bella, if she could help it. She wouldn't want to be sick either." My heart sank. What kind of life had the original Susan been living, though anyone would naturally favor the daughter they raised for 20 years over the biological daughter they only acknowledged 2 years ago? Does that mean Susan and her child's lives are worthless? My expression turned cold. Besides, you stole Bella's husband, so it's even. Even if you hadn't lost Susan, there wouldn't have been a Bella in the first place. 2 lives for one worthless man. How is that even remotely even? A surge of hatred, not my own, welled up inside me. It seems I've figured out how to return to my world. After she finished speaking, I didn't respond but instead turned to look out the window. "Mrs. Smith, do you remember how you felt when you were 5 months pregnant? You must remember. After all, mothers always recall such details with particular clarity. Watching him grow day by day in your womb. Imagining him thriving under a mother's love, filled with anticipation for his arrival. What memory may forget, the body and heart never will. Don't you agree?" I turned my head abruptly and locked eyes with her. Mrs. Smith paled, as if remembering something, and no longer dared to stay. She hastily made an excuse and left the ward. I curled my lips into a smile. Excessive guilt can make people want to escape. I don't think I'll be seeing Mrs. Smith again anytime soon. That's for the best. Seeing her wearing my mother's face and spouting nonsense to me makes me feel utterly suffocated. Ever since I announced my memory loss, Frank has stopped mentioning divorce altogether. He comes to sit in my hospital room for a while every day. I ignored him, and he just stared at me with a heavy gaze. That day, he came in carrying a fruit basket. Bella nodded and greeted him. "Mr. Frank." I knew exactly how to make him suffer the most. "I am your husband," Frank emphasized coldly. I pretended to be taken aback and said, "I remember you mentioning divorce that day. Presumably, we didn't have much affection before. In that case, it's better to get used to being strangers sooner rather than later." "Susan," his face turned livid as he called my name. "Mr. Frank, I don't know how my mother convinced you to abort your own child to save my sister. No matter what happened in the past, I can't accept it now." I pretended not to know about his affair with Bella. I thought even someone as shameless as Frank wouldn't dare claim I had volunteered for this. In my memory, the original Susan was utterly pathetic, loving such scum, willingly being a blood bag, and stubbornly refusing to divorce. In the end, when Bella was critically ill, she was forcibly taken to the operating room by Frank. What's the use of regret only after the child died? Now, Frank is somewhat afraid of me finding out about his affair with Bella. He stopped speaking and instead opened the fruit basket, then casually picked up a mango as if by accident. Seeing that I didn't stop him, he stared straight at me while slowly peeling the mango. If I were still the original Susan, I would have probably jumped out of bed by now, because she once added mango to a dessert she made for Frank, causing him to have an allergic reaction that nearly sent him into shock. So she knew better than anyone that Frank must never touch mango. But what does that have to do with me? I remained silent, shifting my gaze back to the book before me, thinking it would be better if he died from the allergy. Perhaps then I could return directly. Before long, the sound of Frank's labored breathing filled the hospital room. I frowned and looked over, only to see him sitting on the sofa, his face pale, lips purple, still staring at me. While pressing the call button, I said impatiently, "Mr. Frank, don't you know you're allergic to mangoes, Susan?" He called softly. I pretended not to hear, not even getting out of bed. The doctor arrived quickly. When the ward finally fell completely silent, I rolled my eyes at the door and couldn't help but mutter, "Idiot." Compared to my calmness, the neighboring ward was much more chaotic. I heard Bella was insisting on getting out of bed and almost tore open her wound. I had a dazed sense of role reversal. Was I the villainess? And were they the true love? But Bella's next move told me I was overthinking it. Though spoiled and pampered, Bella had a stronger constitution than I did. While I was still hospitalized, she had already been discharged. Since she was discharged from the hospital, Frank has visited less frequently, likely staying by her side. I can only hope Bella becomes even more cunning, ensuring my smooth divorce. Frank's absence actually makes it easier for me to handle certain matters, such as contacting lawyers or taking stock of our shared marital assets. For a high-profile divorce case like mine, plenty of lawyers would be willing to take it. I heard lawyer Jack and Mr. Frank grew up together. Why would he agree to take my case? The Jack before me is the top-tier lawyer recommended by the firm. We didn't exactly grow up together, but moving in the same circles, I've naturally heard about your situation with Mr. Frank. Jack adjusted his glasses, compared to Frank's arrogance. Jack exuded more of an elegant nobility befitting a wealthy young master. I just didn't expect that Miss Susan would one day think to hire a lawyer. Indeed, the Susan of old would have simply walked away empty-handed, but I'm different. If I don't tear a chunk of flesh from Frank, I won't be able to vent the hatred that's been festering in my heart for so long because of him. People, after suffering losses, always have to learn and grow. I ignored his veiled sarcasm and straightened my hospital gown. If Miss Susan is uncomfortable, I can recommend another lawyer for you. Jack walked to the bedside, looking down at me from above. I turned my head and met his gaze directly. That won't be necessary. On the contrary, I think Attorney Jack is an excellent choice. After all, if it were someone else, they would likely be intimidated by Mr. Frank's influence, wouldn't they? Jack didn't respond but instead smiled faintly, extending his slender fingers toward me as he said, "Pleasure working with you." On the day of my discharge from the hospital, Frank didn't come. It was his assistant who arrived. He said Frank asked him to pick me up and take me home. Seeing his evasive gaze, I couldn't help but feel amused, growing more curious about Bella's tactics. When we returned to the villa, as expected, no one was in the main hall. Following my memory, I went up to the second floor. Before reaching the bedroom door, faint yet unmistakably intimate sounds could be heard from the slightly ajar room. Bella pushed the door open with a smirk, arms crossed, clearly ready to enjoy the show. Inside, a man and woman were passionately kissing, the large wedding photo hanging above the bed seeming to mock the entire scene. I took out my phone and snapped a picture with a crisp click. The woman on the ottoman was the first to regain her composure, timidly calling me sister. Frank was momentarily at a loss, then frowned and calmly said, "You're back. Why didn't you knock?" "Do I need to knock to enter my own bedroom?" I replied indifferently. No sooner had the words been spoken than Frank's eyes lit up. "You really were faking amnesia." I rolled my eyes and tilted my chin, gesturing for him to look at the wedding photo by the bedside. In the photo, Susan was smiling sweetly, while Frank beside her looked as grim as if he had just lost his father. Seeing Frank fall silent, I glanced up and down at the woman standing nearby and said with a smile, "And who might this sister be?" I heard at the hospital that Mr. Frank was devoted to my foster sister Bella, but it seems rumors truly can't be trusted. The petite woman beside me flushed red and explained, "Sister, you've misunderstood. I'm Bella." I'm not sure if the misunderstanding she's referring to is me mistaking her for someone else, or her being intimate with her own brother-in-law. Without arguing, I nodded and said, "I see. My apologies then. We never met at the hospital, so I didn't recognize you. I didn't mean to skip visiting you. I'm sorry, sister, I'm so sorry," Bella said with tears in the corners of her eyes, glancing at Frank before suddenly kneeling before me with a thud. She really knows how to go all out. Who would have thought the Smith family could raise such a thing after over 20 years? However, this move might not work on others, but for the arrogant Frank, it's truly hitting the mark. He hurried to help Bella up, then said to me in a deep voice, "Susan, don't go too far." I let out a cold laugh. I lost my child and my kidney, only to come home and see my so-called husband kissing my sister. How terribly far I've gone. This engagement was something you begged for yourself back then. Indeed, the original Susan was like an ostrich, fully aware of the ambiguous relationship between Frank and Bella, yet she still plunged headfirst into it. I saw the timing was right and continued to provoke him. "So what, Frank, as long as I'm around, you two can forget about being together." During my time in the hospital, I finally understood. Frank is the kind of person who won't move unless dragged and resists when pushed. In short, he's just plain stubborn. If the word divorce came out of my mouth, it would probably never happen in this lifetime. Frank sneered while holding Bella. "I thought losing your memory might change you, but it seems old habits die hard. In that case, let's get a divorce." "Frank, no, sister will lose a kidney and might never have children again. How could you divorce her? No one rubs salt in the wound quite like you." Bella, pretending to be provoked. I rushed over and slapped each of them hard across the face. Frank stepped forward to grab me, but I clutched my wound and ducked out of his reach. Then I picked up the decorative items in the bedroom and started throwing them at the two of them. Frank had no choice but to shield Bella as they retreated to the doorway. With a loud bang, I slammed the bedroom door shut, then rummaged through the closet to find the marriage certificate and Susan's various documents before grabbing my suitcase and leaving. Susan, where do you think you're going? As I reached the door, Frank grabbed my arm. I was about to speak when Bella, standing nearby, reached out and pulled Frank back. Frank, sis isn't feeling well and wants to go out for some fresh air. Stop pressing her. Frank ignored her, his dark eyes still locked with mine. Seeing this, Bella quickly pretended her wound was hurting, and Frank immediately let go to support her. I seized the opportunity to leave and got into the taxi waiting at the door. Bella, you really are my secret weapon. I believe your next performance won't disappoint me. Jack came to find me as I was swaying a glass of red wine, gazing down at the city from the floor-to-ceiling window of the presidential suite. This is the life. Miss Susan hasn't fully recovered yet. It would be better not to drink. Jack calmly took the wine glass from my hand, gave it a slight swirl, and took a sip directly. 1982 Chateau Lafleur, MS. Susan has excellent taste, to be honest. The black suit, white shirt, and gold-rimmed glasses, professional yet not overly serious, gave Jack a certain refined yet villainous charm. Planning to switch careers and become a butler, lawyer Jack, he let out a light chuckle. If the client is Miss Susan, that wouldn't be bad at all. However, before becoming a butler, one might have to be a mage first. Don't you agree, Miss Susan? The original Susan had been a commoner for over a decade, things that Jack and his ilk took for granted. She probably hadn't even seen before. I couldn't be bothered to beat around the bush with him. Perhaps by venting Susan's anger and avenging her, I could return home. There was no need to explain too much to him, so I said, whether I'm Susan or not doesn't matter. What matters is that I can help you bring down Frank. The business world is like a battlefield. If I want to take down Frank, plenty of people would be willing to get a piece of the pie. I don't mind giving the James family the biggest slice of the cake. Jack raised an eyebrow and said, I'm all ears. At the very least, I can walk away with a third of Frank's assets from the divorce. I know this isn't enough to shake his foundation, but what if Frank happens to be hospitalized at this very moment? I rubbed the scar on my waist through my clothes. Everything is ready. I just hope the east wind arrives at the perfect moment. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, it seemed like the original Susan was telling me everything about her life. She said she was lost by Mrs. Smith in a shopping mall when she was 5 years old, and later sold to a small mountain village. Fortunately, her adoptive parents were honest people and treated her quite well, but the good times didn't last long. The birth of her younger brother took away what little love her adoptive parents had for her. She began to feel like an invisible presence in that household. At the age of 12, she came home from school and saw her adoptive mother hastily hiding a pot of something. She didn't pay it much attention, as such situations had become commonplace since her brother was born. Little did she know that this very act would end up saving her life. The pot of chicken soup her foster mother had hidden was laced with poisonous mushrooms. In the end, none of the 3 family members could be saved. Later, she was recognized and taken back by Mrs. Smith. She looked at the elegant Bella, then at her own rustic self, and from then on, she fell into an inescapable pit of self-doubt. At the high society banquet, she was further humiliated by Bella's schemes. It was at that moment that Frank happened to pass by and offered a helping hand, and thus began her one-sided love. However, it was precisely because of this that she later discovered the truth of the world. This was not a parallel world at all. After waking up, I suddenly received a call from the Smith family's butler, saying that Mrs. Smith was crying and begging to see me. She was on the verge of an emotional breakdown and wanted me to return immediately. What kind of trick is this again? Could it be a deliberate act of suffering, put on for my benefit because they know I'm divorcing Frank? The moment I stepped through the Smith family's front door, the weeping Mrs. Smith rushed forward and threw her arms around me. Susan, my dear Susan, I shuddered all over. This seemed to be my mother, so I held Mrs. Smith's shoulders and tentatively called out, Mom. She cried even harder, glanced at Mr. Susan, and then pulled me upstairs to the bedroom. I think my mother, like me, possesses most of the original host's memories. She told me she had just taken a nap at home, and when she opened her eyes again, Everything was different. When the butler mentioned Miss Bella, I was taken aback for a moment. What nonsense about Miss Bella? I clearly only have you as my daughter. My mother tenderly stroked my face with concern. I wonder who exactly created this world. The parents of the Smith family are all quite twisted in character, completely different from my own mom and dad. Mom, listen to me. This isn't some parallel world. It's a novel. This was the truth revealed to me in a dream by the original Susan, because the always irrational and biased Smith family parents actually arranged their engagement simply due to her obsession with Frank, and Frank, who was entangled in ambiguities with Bella, seemed to have lost his ability to speak, saying nothing at all. The original Susan noticed something was off, but her love-struck brain chose to turn a blind eye. It wasn't until later, when Bella was hospitalized in critical condition, that Frank forcibly took her for a compatibility test. Sensing danger, she tried to flee, yet her body refused to obey no matter what. Every word she spoke and every action she took were completely beyond her control. Trapped within her own body, her soul wailed with relentless grief day after day, ultimately pulling me in from the real world. What does it matter if it's a fictional world? Those damned bastards actually treated my daughter like this. I'll make sure they die horribly. My mother spat out venomously. Just then, a sudden knock echoed at the door. Mom, it's Bella, I'd like to come in and see you. My mother wiped her tears, assuming a combative stance. Bella, accustomed to being spoiled, didn't wait for my mother's response and pushed the door open to enter. My mother sternly scolded. Who said you could come in? Do you even understand manners? Is an elder's room a place you can just barge into? The voice was so stern it made me shiver all over. My mother stared fixedly at Bella. Bella's eyes instantly welled up with tears. Mom, I'm sorry. I heard you were crying because of my sister, so I wanted to come and see. Bella, is this how our Smith family has raised you for over a decade? I don't expect you to become a refined lady, but at least don't bring those vulgar tricks from outside to disgust us at home. This time, Bella was truly crying, but she still didn't dare to leave, sobbing as my mother lectured her for another half hour. I watched with great interest from the sidelines. Being scolded by my mom was nothing compared to the humiliation she felt when I saw her in such a pitiful state. All right, go back now, crying non-stop just from a few words. Our Yen would never act like this. Bella ran away in tears. Mom, you're acting like the big villain here, I teased. My mom rolled her eyes at me. After Bella left, I told my mom about my revenge plan. Not only did my mom fully support it, but she also suggested using the Smith family as bait to maximize the damage to Frank. She said that as relatives, the Smith family not only failed to protect their own daughter but even acted as accomplices, so they didn't deserve to continue living a privileged life. Because I didn't want to share a room with Bella, I ended up returning to the hotel. The east wind that would push the entire plan forward, I believe, will soon be blown into Bella's ears by my mother, as expected. After staying at the hotel for half a month, that bastard Frank came looking for me. He started pestering me to go back home. While feeling disgusted inside, I still had to pretend to be amnesiac and sulky to make Frank lower his guard, so he began recounting how much the original Susan had loved him and all the things she had done for him. I sneered inwardly. So he knew perfectly well. Frank kept pleading for me not to leave him, yet never once mentioned that he loved me, so I provoked him. What about Bella? I saw you two kissing the other day. Frank frowned, remained silent for a long moment, then slowly said, as long as you're willing to come back with me, I'll never meet her alone again. I laughed, a bright and radiant laugh, while mentally calculating how to make sure Bella heard this. But what I said was, Mr. Frank, I've lost my memory. If you want me to willingly become Mrs. Frank again, shouldn't you show some sincerity, seeing me relent? Frank's expression relaxed considerably. The next day, he showed up at my doorstep holding a bouquet of lilies. It seemed like his first time doing such a thing. As he appeared somewhat awkward, I glanced at the flowers but didn't take them, my expression darkening instantly. I'm allergic to pollen, didn't Mr. Frank know that? Frank quickly threw the flowers away and said stiffly, sorry, of course, I was lying to him. Just 2 days ago, I received a bouquet of champagne roses from Jack. Jack said this is a gift for business partners. Frank's so-called pursuit didn't last more than a few days before Bella couldn't sit still anymore. She called Frank and said she had been feeling down these past few days, and while hiking, she accidentally sprained her ankle. She didn't dare tell her parents in the Smith family for fear of worrying them. Bella sobbed on the phone, even reproaching herself for demanding Susan's kidney and for her lingering attachment to Frank. In the end, she blessed Frank as if leaving her last words. After all these years as childhood sweethearts, that bastard Frank couldn't sit still anymore. He told me he'd be back soon, but who knew that soon would turn into a month. My mom called to tell me that Bella hasn't returned to the Smith family for several days. When the butler called her, she just hemmed and hawed, saying she was staying at a friend's place for a while. I thought to myself, it's finally done, so I contacted Jack and told him the time was ripe. Once my divorce with Frank was finalized, we could close the net. A few days later, Bella came to the hotel to see me. I chuckled to myself. The east wind had arrived. Won't you invite me in, sister? She appeared gentle and harmless. I stepped aside expressionlessly to let her in. Bella first pretended to care about my health, then proudly flaunted her pregnancy by sticking out her belly. You still don't know, do you, sister? Frank has already agreed to divorce you and marry me. I really have to thank you for the kidney, sister, otherwise, I wouldn't have been blessed with this child. Sometimes I feel guilty. I'm pregnant with Frank's child, while my sister had to have an abortion. I stared at Bella's face without saying a word. She truly embodied the malicious female supporting character to the fullest. Bella, are you saying all this just to provoke me? Bella said. Bella's words came to an abrupt halt, and a look of panic flashed across her face. I continued, Bella, you're not stupid. You should know that smart women deal with men, while foolish ones keep causing trouble for other women. Haven't you always done well before? If this child is destined not to be born, you should know how to maximize its benefits. Rather than trying to frame me, after a long silence, Bella spoke up. Sister, you won't tell Frank, right? Of course. After all, I hate him. As I spoke, I gently touched the wound at my waist. Bella stood up and walked toward the door, pausing to look back at me before leaving. Susan, only now do I truly believe you've lost your memory. I smiled nonchalantly. She couldn't possibly be naive enough to think I'd let her off, could she? When Frank came to divorce me with a lawyer in tow, I almost couldn't hold back my laughter. With a single phone call, I summoned Jack. Frank's face darkened as he looked at me. You never thought about starting over with me, did you? I stood up and walked over to Frank, leaning close to his ear and whispering, Frank, I wonder if Bella also has a pink centipede coiled around her waist like I do. Frank and Bella are truly a match made in heaven. They always make the victims forget those hurts. After speaking, I looked at Frank and actually caught a fleeting glimpse of pain on his face. Feeling the pain already? You're still living in luxury with a beautiful concubine by your side. You won't know what true pain is until you've lost everything. Frank signed the divorce agreement without hesitation. I suspect that apart from a slight sense of guilt and that tiny bit of self-righteous love, what motivated him more was the belief that these losses could be recouped from the Smith family. This 1/3 of the family assets was merely shifting from the left hand to the right. Unfortunately, he could never have imagined that it was my mother, along with the entire Smith family, setting a trap for him. The day Bella had her miscarriage, I was curled up on the sofa watching TV with my mom, eating from a fruit platter. The butler answered the phone and rushed over in a panic. Madam, it's terrible. Miss Bella was pushed by the young master and had a miscarriage. The butler said this while cautiously glancing at me. He couldn't understand how, overnight, my position and Bella's had completely reversed. Upon hearing the news, my mother didn't even look up. She leisurely took a bite of fruit and said, It's just a miscarriage, not death. Why are you making such a fuss? The butler reluctantly agreed. I couldn't help but touch the scars on my body, thinking my wounds were hurting again. My mom anxiously said, Sweetie, does it hurt? Come upstairs. Let me apply some medicine for you. I shook my head and leaned against my mom, thinking that all of this was finally coming to an end. Bella's child was destined not to survive. She forced herself to get pregnant by taking ovulation shots less than half a year after her kidney transplant. Such behavior was nothing short of suicidal. Since the show wasn't over yet, my mother went to see Bella the very next day, pretending to be deeply concerned and bringing her a lot of nutritional supplements. I couldn't show up myself, so I helped by recommending a few housekeeping companies to Frank's assistant. As expected, Frank chose a nanny from one of those companies to take care of Bella. Watching my mother deliver those supplements to Bella day after day, I slowly smiled. In less than half a month, Bella was rushed into the operating room due to kidney failure from the transplant. She had no choice but to stay in the hospital for dialysis while waiting for a new kidney donor. Having lost her child and now suffering from kidney failure, her current misery was no less than Susan's back then. That day, just as Jack and I finished dinner and left the restaurant, we ran into Frank. He watched me walking with Jack, his face suddenly darkening. "Susan, can't you live without a man?" As soon as he finished speaking, he tried to step forward and grab me, but Jack immediately shielded me behind him. "Since you're already divorced, Mr. Frank, you shouldn't overstep your boundaries." "Jack, don't you understand the principle of don't flirt with a friend's wife?" Frank said angrily. I rolled my eyes speechlessly. We had just talked about divorce, and yet he was acting like he had no brain stem. Jack brushed off the part of his shirt that Frank had touched and said, "Friends, we're just in the same social circle. At most, we're acquaintances. I wouldn't dare call someone like Mr. Frank a friend." When it came to eloquence, 10 francs wouldn't be a match for Jack the lawyer. But what was the point of arguing here? I stepped forward and hooked my arm through Jack's, saying, "Jack, let's go home quickly, I'm so cold." Jack also cooperatively held my hand. "Go home, you're already living together." Frank's eyes were bloodshot as he spoke, about to rush forward and grab Jack by the collar. Jack threw a left hook, knocking Frank to the ground with a heavy blow. After getting in the car, Jack asked, "Back to my place?" I leaned against the car door, raising an eyebrow at him without saying a word. Jack smiled knowingly. Halfway through the drive, I indeed spotted Frank following behind in my rearview mirror. Jack glanced at me and said, "Since Susan has already cut ties with the past, why put on this act?" This is what Frank owes Susan. He had been intimate with Bella in front of the original Susan more than once. Now, it's his turn to experience the same pain. Jack and I deliberately chose a bedroom with floor-to-ceiling windows, watched 2 movies, and didn't turn off the lights until midnight. Frank's car stayed parked outside Jack's villa all night. When I came out in the morning, he was standing by his car, staring at the front door, with a pile of cigarette butts at his feet. "Serves you right, Susan, we need to talk." He stepped forward to block my path. I took a step back. "Mr. Frank, if I remember correctly, you are currently a married man, and your wife is still in the hospital." "Bella and I didn't get a marriage certificate," he said softly, his tone filled with confusion. Next, he poured out his feelings to me. "Ever since being with Bella, it's me who's always on his mind. That he's only taking responsibility for the child in Bella's womb. That he still can't bring himself to marry Bella. What laughable nonsense." Finally, he said, "I know you're upset about my past with Bella and that you're deliberately provoking me with Jack. I can let it go, Susan, let's call it even, okay?" Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh a few times, then lifted my clothes and said to Frank, "Mr. Frank, take a look at this scar on my waist. If you want to settle the score with me, shouldn't you at least donate a kidney to my boyfriend first?" Frank's lips trembled as he remained silent, reaching out to touch the scar on my body. Disgusted, I dodged his hand and said seriously, "I was just joking earlier, don't take it to heart, but after all, Bella is my sister and your childhood sweetheart. It pains me to see her waiting in the hospital without a kidney donor. How about it, Mr. Frank? Why don't you come with me to the hospital for a compatibility test?" Frank kept talking about loving this and that, but from start to finish, he never truly gave anything to anyone. "Will you come back to me if I donate my kidney to Bella?" I didn't answer directly, instead saying, "After all, Mr. Frank, you are also responsible for Bella's miscarriage and hospitalization." So Frank naively believed that once he repaid his debt, we could start over. But nothing in this world comes that easily. In the world of fiction, I finally got to play the role of an outlaw for once. No sooner had Frank entered the operating room than problems arose with his project with the Smith family. This led to a simultaneous breakdown in the cash flow of both companies. Neither could save the other, and at this critical moment, all the key employees of Frank's company were poached by other firms with high salaries. The James family seized the opportunity to collaborate with other companies and aggressively captured market share. Frank only learned the true state of the company a week later. By then, I was standing by Bella's hospital bed, seeing her off on her final journey. She glared at me with hatred in her eyes. "It's you, of course it's me." If she, Bella, could bribe Frank's assistant, then I could also let the assistant earn some extra money. As for the pregnancy, my mother merely dropped a few suggestive hints. She was the one who got the idea herself. who can she blame, seeing that Bella was clearly at her limit? I bent down and whispered to her, "You and Frank lured Susan with the bait of love. I was merely following your example. Farewell, Bella." Bella, her face twisted in rage, reached out to grab me. I sidestepped and waited a while longer before pressing the call button by the bed. After Bella was gone, my mother, as her family member, donated her corneas, a final good deed on her behalf. I wonder if the original Susan would be satisfied with Bella's ending later. I had the scars on my body tattooed into the shape of phoenix feathers. I hope that when the original Susan returns, she can truly rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Then I told my mother to wait for me at home peacefully. I have a premonition that as long as I witness Frank's miserable state with my own eyes, I can return to the real world. As I was leaving, I happened to run into Jack coming to see me. "Where are you going, Miss Susan? Why not take a ride with me?" I readily took the passenger seat. "Go see Frank." Jack paused in his actions. "Are you leaving? He's really smart and perceptive. If this were my world, I wouldn't mind starting a relationship with him. Unfortunately, I'm a soul traveler. I can't just do whatever I want with someone else's body, even if she is also Susan." Probably. When we arrived at Frank's company building, Jack insisted on accompanying me upstairs. I didn't object, thinking it would be good to have him with me, just in case Frank went crazy. He could protect me. The way to Frank's office was, one might say, completely unobstructed. The empty workstations and scattered documents undoubtedly declared that this company was on its last legs. The door to Frank's office was left open. When I reached the doorway, he was sitting in his leather chair, eating instant noodles while flipping through documents. A far cry from the proud, domineering CEO I had first met. One defeat, and he'll never be able to turn his life around again. He used his capital to force Susan to donate a kidney, leaving her with nowhere to turn for help. Now, I'll use capital to make him taste the despair of being shrouded in shadow for the rest of his life. With a smile on my lips, Bella knocked on the office door. Frank turned his head at the sound and, upon seeing it was me, charged over like an enraged bull. "Susan, Susan, how dare you show your face in front of me?" His hair was disheveled, his pale face covered in stubble, and he gritted his teeth as he shouted my name. In that instant, I felt an overwhelming sense of satisfaction. This exhilaration belonged to the original Susan. "She's back." In my ears was Susan's voice, shifting from declarations of love to scathing denunciations of Frank, culminating in the crisp sound of a slap. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my own room. I instinctively reached to touch my waist. The smooth skin bore not a single scar. I drew back the curtains, bathing my entire body in sunlight. I embraced my mother as she rushed into my room, feeling the joy of being reborn. Extra story. After resting at home for a week, I finally returned to the company to resume work. Life gradually returned to its normal rhythm. As for that absurd novel, I eventually tracked down the author. It turned out to be a junior assistant in my company, while termination wasn't necessary. Deducting the year-end bonus was absolutely justified. That day, as I was reviewing the report submitted by my subordinates, the HR manager suddenly knocked and entered. Behind her followed a person in a black suit and white shirt. "President Susan, this is our newly hired legal counsel, Attorney Jack." "Attorney Jack, this is our President Susan." I rose with a smile, slowly extending my hand. "Hello, Attorney Jack. I'm Susan." He also smiled and shook my hand. "Hello, President Susan. I look forward to our pleasant cooperation." After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.